We're going to talk about those documented, scientific, hundreds of major studies that every abortion you have massively increases your chance of getting different types of cancer. If your body is meant to abort a baby, 99% of the time it will. It's very unnatural. Making the film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, I didn't just believe the quotes by Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood and others even in modern times. I went to the universities. I sent off for copies of the actual letters where they call black people weeds that must be exterminated. And you see Bill Gates and his vaccine program clearly tied to reduced fertility, sterilization, Nobel laureates on record, even BBC reporting that women are getting HIV who've never had sex in Africa, but they've had vaccinations. They were caught in Libya doing this. We have the UN and their internal documents that I cover in Endgame saying they want to force inoculate, to introduce cancer viruses, autoimmune viruses. This is going on against everyone. But going back over 100 years ago, when eugenics was like a rock and roll craze, up until the 40s when Hitler embarrassed them, they then changed the name of it. Blacks were the #1 target because they could sell more people in the community on going along with it. On that Russia Today video piece that we played half of, we'll put it back on screen. It's Abortion, Inc. Is it carrying out black genocide? Abortion, Inc. promoting black genocide inside the United States. In the comments, I see people in there, the minority, but still they're there, saying, you black people complain about everything. You black people always say you're the victim. You black people always say people are out to get you. And, yeah, well, there are too many black people. There are too many black thugs out there, on and on and on and on. And then, see, once that idea has been accepted, then it could be done to everybody. I remember debating Planned Parenthood people and debating CPS when they were seizing people's kids for no reason. They would email me, write me, call me, or in person say, who's going to adopt all these black babies? Are you going to do it? Yeah, we're getting rid of them. And it's come out in the news that you can call up Planned Parenthood and say, I want to give money specifically to get rid of black babies. Absolutely, we agree, we'll help you. This is a eugenics organization. And Bill Gates' father, of course, formerly headed it. And they're all pushing this agenda right now. The carbon taxes are about cutting off everybody's resources where you can't even afford to have children now. And so I wanted to have Pastor on our show today from blackgenocide.org because he's been fighting this for more than a decade, and he's been standing up against this corrupt system and fighting for more than a decade. And so we're going to get him to break down basically what we face as a society. But the fact is there's more people wanting to adopt every year in the U.S. That's why people import folks from South Korea and Europe and other places and Haiti. And the truth is people do want to adopt black babies, brown babies, white babies. But the system knows this, and they don't tell you when you're at Planned Parenthood that there are Christian groups who will 100% of the time pay you, take care of you, and help adopt the baby. No, they just say kill the baby. And so this is a window into a much bigger situation. So I've prefaced that now, but I want to go to Pastor Clennard Howard Childress Jr. from blackgenocide.org. Pastor, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Break down your awakening, who you are, what you've done, your research, what we're facing here, and obviously the larger eugenics operation.
Well, you know, sometimes the longer I stay in it, the more I find that it's a humongous machine, that I feel the only way it could be uprooted at this point is for the church, that God has always used the church to deal with all social injustices. But how I began was just defending the unborn here locally in my normal teaching. Did not even know such thing as the pro-life movement or pro-choice and all the terminology. And a young lady who's more involved than I was regionally asked me, did I want to get more involved in the movement? She had met one of my students walking by an abortion clinic, thinking she was going to go in. She approached her, and she said, no, my pastor taught me about this already. And she said, well, who is your pastor? And that led to me going to learn life education and resource Network. There was a conference down in Virginia Beach, and I felt that I should go. And my wife and myself went, and it's the first time I heard of the Negro Project, and even why the Akua Farrow was the presenter. And I heard of the eugenics design, the mindset, the ideology, the players, and I was stunned. And I was stunned to find, even more so, having gone to college and gone to seminary, that I never heard any of these things, not so much as an iota of these things, and yet it was prevalent, dominating, and at that time the figure was 1,452 African-American children killed each day, and here I was a shepherd and didn't know of this devouring agent that was preying upon the African-American community to the degree in which it was. So I talked to Pastor Johnny Hunter, national director, and I said, I have to want to partner with you in addressing this issue nationally and locally, and thus began my quest. And in 2001, I came up with the idea, but 2002, we launched the website blackgenocide.org. And actually, the young computer Michael Spielman, who does Abort73, abort.73, is another great website if you want to see what abortion is. He was helping me put the site together. We put all the information together. He said, what are you going to call it? And I said, just call it Learn, I guess. Learn Northeast. It's just to reach, I want to reach the African-American community with the message of abortion. And he said, well, why don't you just call it Black Genocide? That's what you're always calling it any other time. And when he said it, it was like when Mary heard Elizabeth, something leaped in my womb, and I said, that's the name, Black Genocide. So we called it blackgenocide.org, and it's...
Well, we're going to break down with you the real numbers. 52%, and that's conservative, of blacks never get born, they're murdered. That is a bigger statistical genocide than we've even seen in Rwanda against the Tutsis, or what we saw with Hitler. This is a real genocide, and eugenics is the religion of the elite. They teach it as phony environmentalism, that humans are a disease and a scourge. This is what funds the entire global government movement. It's what you always find. It's what all the big banks fund. And blacks are their number one target, but they're doing it to everyone now. And so all these fools out there that are racist deep down and say, yeah, get rid of these black people or get rid of these brown people, you know, to all the white supremacists out there, it's being done to you as well. This is for everyone, but blacks are the apple of the globalist eye. And I just want to add that you know, the good news is we see national statistics. More and more people are beginning to wake up to this. But let's break down the Black Genocide Program, the Negro Program, as it was called by Margaret Sanger and the Rockefeller Foundation, and what these mass murderers are doing right now. Well,
no question about it. It was a systemic design by the eugenics, the elitists of this nation, and who are very much more in power than I ever dreamed that they were. And the key thing was to introduce abortion and sterilization to the African-American community. It varied down through the years, but of course in 1973, by their own evaluation, they finally found the key element to reduce the numbers of African Americans under suspicion, that they would not be deemed as suspicious, and that was through abortion. It was also through commandeering key African American iconic figures to condone it. And this is the greatest tragedy. Jesse Jackson, 1977, is basically where I coined the phrase Black Genocide, was from Jesse Jackson, who said abortion is Black Genocide. What happens to a mind of a person and the moral fabric of a nation that can abort a baby without a pang of conscience? Yeah, that's the one good thing about Jesse Jackson, is he did come out against that. And you go back to what W.E.D. Du Bois and others, you read Margaret Sanger's letters, she said,
We can't let these people know we want to kill them. They don't trust us. We've got to get rid of these weeds. We've got to hire black leaders.
Exactly. 3 or 4 colored ministers with engaging social backgrounds was their exact words. And Jesse, when he decided to be president, he wanted to be president, realized he wasn't going to get the money he needed unless he switched his position. And so he literally became a shepherd leading the sheep to the slaughter. And so
early on he was good, but then he flip-flopped for power. How many millions of blacks have been exterminated?
16 million, and that is a conservative estimate.
I mean, is $1 billion worth it to kill 16 million of your own people or anybody? I mean, they could. Satan could lead me up on a mountain and say, "I will make you God on earth if you'll kill one child," and I wouldn't do it if they were black or polka dotted or green or white. Exactly. I mean, this is so evil.
It is unquestionably evil, and it's very sad commentary to the civil rights movement because Dr. King died in '68, and he more or less never was really a